Hey, Plant Fam. Welcome to Wind Down the Week with Angie. I'm your host, Angie, and owner of Steel City Plant Company here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. This podcast is brought to you by Soltech Solutions. Today, we chat with Tanner Mitchell. Tanner, along with his wife, Erika, are the owners of North Texas-based plant shop called Famous in Oregon. Tanner grew up in Pilot Rock, Oregon, always surrounded by beautiful greenery and the mountains. He began his plant collecting journey because of missing his lush hometown. Tanner has seen firsthand the immense benefits of having plants to take care of, but he's also quick to point out that to get the real benefits of growing, you can't just read about plants. It's about personal interactions with plants and getting your hands dirty. Welcome, Tanner.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on today.
Thanks so much for being here. We're so excited to chat with you.
Yeah, me too. It's a great opportunity. I never miss out on an opportunity to speak about plants.
I love the opportunity to talk to another plant shop owner. That's what I get super pumped about because we can commiserate a little bit.
Commiserate. Might be a great...
All right, so we're going to kick it off with an icebreaker called Petal and Bud. Petal is something that happened recently that you were excited about. Bud is something that's coming up soon that you're excited about. So I'll kick it off. Petal, so something that just happened recently, I would say, the tree lighting ceremony in Bethlehem. So we are Christmas City, USA. It's a very big deal. We take it very seriously. I work for the Chamber of Commerce and we plan the tree lighting ceremony. We had 5,000 people jam-packed into the City Hall Plaza, and I'm responsible for planning that event. So it was just really cool to see all the hard work pay off, and people came out and had a really, really beautiful time. It's like a Hallmark movie. So wow, excited about that. Yeah, and it was actually, this leads me to Bud, what I'm excited about. That was actually my last event in that job. So I'm starting a new job going to work for the new mayor of Bethlehem. He is taking office January, so we'll take office together January 3rd.
Wow, congratulations on the new job. That's really exciting. How cool.
Thank you. Really exciting. It was a great way to close out my career with the Chamber with an awesome tree lighting ceremony.
I was going to say, it must be real. I mean, that's, if you're going to end a career in a spot, I mean.
Yeah, that's how you do it, right?
Great magical time of the year, culminating this big event that you planned. That's really nice.
Yeah. How about you? What's going on?
So I guess my petal is also going to be about the Christmas season. So every year at our shop, with a shop like Famous in Oregon, you can't really not bring in Christmas trees. So we bring in Christmas trees from Oregon, which is kind of funny because that's actually one of the reasons why it's called Famous in Oregon, is that plants are famous in Oregon. And Christmas trees are Oregon's #1 export. So we export some down here to Texas. And of course, everybody locally that's from the Northwest just absolutely loves it. So we have kicked off our Christmas season as well with our really cute Christmas tree lot. So that's probably the thing that I'm most excited about right now. Just we've got all the decorations going, we've got our photo op going, and of course the smell you can't really beat of live Christmas trees. So that's fantastic.
That's awesome. We'll get into it. I have so many questions about what Christmas looks like in Texas, but we're going to play a drinking game. So what are you drinking today? I know you're leaving me hanging.
Got to do my bloom part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bloom.
So that's something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm really looking forward to, well, whenever you're a business owner, and coincidentally in this case, a plant shop owner as well, I think we always look forward to springtime. Mm-hmm. And I'm really, really looking forward to springtime, not just because of like the warmer weather and all the, plants are coming out of dormancy, but there's just a lot of really great things coming up, a lot of things that are happening, a fresh new year. Every year you get a little bit better, hopefully, in you're a business owner and when you're a plant parent. And so I'm just really excited for that new life. I'm excited for the holidays as well, but as a business owner, again, you're a couple months ahead of time, or at least weeks, So now that we have gotten and experienced our excitement of the fall and the winter months, now I'm looking forward to spring for sure.
As a plant shop owner, nothing beats spring. Like the holidays are amazing. Obviously, there's gift giving, but spring is spring and people just get so excited. They're out and about, they're happier, the plants are happier. And as you said, we're already ahead of ourselves. So we're ordering for spring and what, get Easter gifts and Mother's Day and all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. It's always fun to see what we can do better this year than last. And it's a great time for progression and new life and the sun shining. It's great.
Yeah, it is. Okay, well, now for our drinking game. So I'm drinking mead. Have you ever had mead?
I've never had a mead. I've only read about it in books.
It's so good. So it is a liquor made from honey. So it's like a honey wine, not from grapes, from honey. So very cool, fermented honey. It's called Bamiata Apple Bum, and it's from Colony Meadery on the south side of Bethlehem here in town. So they're a great local business, and thanks to Colony Meadery for sponsoring today. Absolutely love your mead and recommend trying mead to anybody because it's a very fun, different taste. It's hard to explain until you've had it.
That's pretty cool. I might have to try one of those.
Yeah. And you are drinking water, right? Cheers to that.
Standard water. It's just barely 5 o'clock here, so I gotta be good for someone,
It's 6:11 here, so I'm ready to go.
Go for it.
I'll drink for the both of us. So we're still gonna play a drinking game. We are going to play 2 truths and a lie, plant edition. So it needs to be about your plants. 2 truths, 1 lie. I guess I'll kick it off. So 2 truths and a lie. Okay. Let me think. My favorite plant is a Hoya. My cats don't bother any plants in my apartment. And I really enjoy misting my plants. What do you think is my lie?
I would say your lie is your favorite plant is a Hoya.
That is my truth. So you have to drink some water.
Okay.
It's newly my favorite plant because it just bloomed. So it's a whole thing. I'm on a kick now. It's been 7 years that I've had this Hoya. And I was like, meh, like, you're cool, but I don't know. Nothing special. And then it bloomed. And now my mind is blown. And I need all of the Hoyas so that they can bloom. Because it is so rewarding to wait 7 years for something to flower. And so then for the first flower to be. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
great. It smelled amazing. It was gorgeous. So now I'm like, I got to see what all the blooms look like. So my lie was that my cats leave all of my plants alone. It is somewhat true in the fact that they leave my real plants alone. We have an apartment, so there's only one big window that we can put the real plants in, and then a bunch of dark corners. Mm-hmm. So we have the Soltech lights in a lot of rooms to help with that. But, in the bathroom, in the dark bathroom, I'll admit, have a fake plant or 2 that just for the aesthetic of it, take up the corner. I know. But we do because of it being, worrying about the cat, something being on the floor, not elevated. We'll just throw like a really nice fake plant in the corner to spruce it up. So that is what my cats bother.
Gotcha. So you do enjoy misting your plants then, I guess.
I do. I do. I love it. It's very therapeutic. But so just a warning to all the cat parents out there. Fake plants are not necessarily safe for your cats. My cat licks the plastic plant obsessively, and he got an ulcer on the tip of his tongue from doing it. So I've since had to throw out all the fake plants and elevate any toxic ones so that he just can't get to anything. But yeah.
On that note as well, I don't know if they still make them this way, but I do know that at least some of the older versions of faker plants, the material that they make as it ages and like dries out, so to speak, the plastic or whatever they're made out of, has some sort of toxic ingredients in it as well. I want to say formaldehyde, but don't quote me on that, please. But someone went to our store and just like spouted off this big old long thing about how even toxic plants are more healthy for your pets than fake plants. That's what
Agreed.
that, which I thought was really interesting.
Because most toxic plants for pets, I mean, there's some that are awful and you have to do your research.
Yeah.
But most of them, it just means they're going to get an upset stomach and puke it up. Like,
exactly.
This was a whole ulcer on his tongue. He had to be on medication for a month. Like, it was not good. So, no more fake plants in our house, which is good anyway. It was time. It was time to move on from that life.
I'm with you.
Okay, you're up. Two truths and a lie.
Two truths. Okay. Two truths and a lie. Two truths and a lie. Plant edition. Okay. I don't grow any outdoor plants. I have 2 greenhouses, and cacti are my favorite family of plants.
I would say that you don't have 2 greenhouses.
I do have 2 greenhouses.
Oh. So are cacti not your favorite?
No, they're probably my least.
I have to drink twice now. Or once. Okay. So I got that one. Okay. I agree with you on that. Like I said, I like to miss my plants. I like to love on my plants. And the cacti just want me to leave them alone. And I can't get with that lifestyle. So then I overlove them and they make them very unhappy.
For me, it's a lot about, because I like to decorate with our plants so much. And there are no like low light cacti.
Right.
There's so much you can do with cactus, like as far as decorating goes, you're very limited.
Right. For sure. I did just invest in 2 very big ones because I don't have to grow them to that point. They're already there. So I'm like, okay, let me try this.
Yeah.
And I got a Soltech light to hang over just the 2 of them.
Perfect.
And they are flowering now, which I am dead. I cannot. Because I've never had success with a cactus like that before. To actually see a giant one flowering is insane. So
we had a similar experience. I'd never seen, I guess it's not technically a cactus, so it's the Euphorbia ingens.
Oh yeah.
And we have ours at the shop under a Soltech light, and it's the first time I've ever seen them bloom in person. So it was cool to be able to see that inside, in store,
Blooms in general on plants are just so rewarding.
Just the culmination of all, if you stressed about it or if you forgot about it or whatever the case may be, when it all culminates into the little bloom, it's just like, it's the best. It's really hard to beat.
I agree. All right, well, let's hear about you. I want to hear all about your plant shop. So how long has it been open?
We opened 2 months ago, so I guess about 1.5 years.
Okay.
We signed the paperwork for the lease, and I think like 4 days later, it was 100% lockdown, from the pandemic. So we were like, this might be like the worst decision we've ever made. But it turned out to be great. We spent about 6 weeks renovating everything, and then we're able to open up. So yeah, we've been open for about 1.5 years. It's been going really well.
Nice. Very similar in that sense. We actually started as a pop-up shop a year ago, about a little more than a year ago, and opened our brick and mortar location 6 months ago. So same thing, right in the middle of that pandemic. But I also think that was, a silver lining for us. The people were wanting houseplants. There was limited access to houseplants where we are. So it was kind of the perfect time, even though it sounds crazy because it was a pandemic and trying to run a business. It was, as you know, just insane. But working out so far.
We had a similar experience. It seemed to be the perfect timing. People wanted to have plants for their Zoom calls in the background.
Right.
Staying home more, so they wanted to beautify their spaces. So we kind of saw the same sort of trend. Luckily, we've been open for business, we've been selling online for about 4 years as Tanner the Planter, but that's when we opened up that brick and mortar store, famous in Oregon. But yeah, it was kind of a silver lining for us as well. So it's neat to know that there are similar experiences for people who opened up at the same time.
Yeah. So what's Christmas like where you're at? It's just such a big thing here. Again, we're Christmas City, so it's wild. But I've never been somewhere warmer.
Well, I'm sure it's not. I mean, if you're Christmas town America, I'm sure it cannot compare for sure. Uh, I would say it's similar to anywhere else you would be.
Okay.
Really, the only warm part of Texas that's warm year round is the southern half. Uh,
Okay.
North Texas, like where we live, I mean, we don't get a lot of snow, but we'll get snow maybe every other year. But it's very routinely, in mid to late December and January, it's very common for it to be in like the 30s.
Oh,
So
wow.
because it definitely gets cold here. We are zone 8B, which is very similar to like, well, actually, Northwest Oregon. Uh,
Okay.
Oregon is in 8B zone, gardening zone 8B as well. So most folks think Texas, it's always hot. It's really only hot from about central Texas down.
That is so interesting. Yeah, I am in the category that thought that Texas was just warm. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's nice. I think it is nice when it gets a little chilly around the holidays. You
Yeah.
gotta,
We have all four seasons for sure, very distinctly.
that's awesome. I
Yeah.
love having all four seasons here. It's one of my favorite things about living in the Northeast. I
Yeah.
just,
We just don't deal with much snow. So
yeah, lucky you. It was snowing here today already, and it's actually pretty early in the season for it to be snowing like that. So I was like,
yeah,
oh boy, here we go.
it was 75 here today.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think it was about 32 today and snowing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't mind it too much. All right. So, where did you pick your name from for the plant shop?
My wife actually came up with the name. So when we very first started, w- like I said, we were only selling online and we were very unsure how things were going to go. We actually had a business partner starting out. She had her own business. We were kind of sharing the building. And she has her own big brand, and we had to come up with a name that fit both of us.
Hmm.
She actually is famous in Oregon, and our plants are famous in Oregon. And so my wife Erika came up with the name "Famous in Oregon" that really fit both of our brands really well.
I love that so much. That's an
Yeah.
awesome name. Very, again, similar situation. So, my company is Steel City Plant Company, but our brick and mortar, once we decided to open a shop, we went in with partners. You can see their sign behind me, Domasi Flea. So, they have vintage and flea items. So, the name of our actual storefront is Plants Plus Vintage.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. So, there's just a sign that says Plants and Vintage upstairs, and I'm the plants, they're the vintage.
And unlike our store, yours is very particular, and they know what they're getting into when they just read the sign. there's
Exactly.
there's a ton of curiosity when it comes to our store. I mean, half the time people are just peek in, they're like, "Yeah, just wanted to see what's in here," and then they're like, "Bye." Pretty funny.
Oh man, that is funny. And that's interesting. We're on the second floor. So I feel like a lot of our interest too is just like opening the door and they're like, what? Like, where does this lead? I always say we're like the speakeasy of plants. Like, you really don't know what you're walking into until you're up here and it's a whole different world. But
Gotta open up the secret bookcase to find the plants.
exactly. So, what would you say like one of your best selling plants is at the shop? And then versus what you recommend as a new plant for a new plant parent?
It would all be the same, definitively, because we check every month. It's Sansevieria, it's snake plants. Far and away, they've been at our top seller since day one.
Wow.
And really, that goes a long way towards a lot of our clients are mostly, they're not like plant collectors. They're not trying to find the rare stuff. They're trying to decorate their homes with Pinterest
Same.
or Instagram kind of plants.
Same.
Because it is hot around here for most of the year. Um, a lot of Texas homes, most Texas homes, at least where we live, are built to keep the sun out. A lot of overhanging porches, especially on the south side of your house. Almost everybody has a porch on the south side of their house to keep it out, so that it's a little bit more shaded. So we have a lot of low light tolerant plants. So a snake plant is a home run every time. It's low light tolerant, drought tolerant, all the things. So
Yeah.
beginner friendly, we push those a lot, or we recommend those a lot to people because they're just so easy and they do well in our low light homes here in Texas.
That's awesome. I am bummed. I love snake plants. We don't carry them in our shop. We specialize in pet friendly plants. So 99.9% of everything we carry is non-toxic to pets. We carry a couple things that people just consistently ask for. So we'll have a few of those, or like the large floor plants, because there's just not many that are non-toxic, but we
Right.
mark them as such. So I do have FOMO sometimes, though, when I see beautiful snake plants. I'm like, I wish we could have them in our store. I don't know. Once we have a bigger space, I want to have one whole side of the shop be like the beautiful toxic plants. I just have a sign up that says toxic, and then everything else be non-toxic.
That's very inviting. Beautiful and toxic.
Toxic. Come by me.
I feel like that's a mood or like some kind of a meme or something that should be.
I know. Like, I'm feeling a Britney Spears meme coming on with toxic. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. So what advice do you give out most to plant parents in your shop?
Oh, easily. And all of our employees can attest to this. It's about lighting.
Yeah.
100% lighting. Probably only secondary to, or coming in second place would probably be watering. Lighting is what people get wrong the most. You know, they perceive bright light as what they are seeing with their eyes, like they are judging it, and to them it's bright light.
Mm-hmm.
But we always tell people, like, when you come indoors from outside, your pupils are going to they're going to get larger so that it lets in more light. So even a low light scenario to a plant can look very bright to you, just because our pupils will restrict and dilate to let in more or less light, so that we can depict images depending on how much light is in your area.
Right.
We spend a lot of time educating people on how to determine the difference between bright light, medium light, and low light, and then help them to find a plant that will fit the situation that they have.
How do you go about, like, do you have, I don't know, a go-to explanation of explaining to people the differences between those lighting situations? Because I'm sure our listeners would love to hear more about that, because I think everybody struggles with that.
The biggest thing, of course, is the plant's view of the sky. So we always say, imagine the leaf of the plant is an eyeball. Are those eyeballs looking at unobstructed blue sky, or are they looking at your covered patio, or are they looking at the neighbor's house or a big giant mature tree?
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, even if you're in a massive south-facing window that has a covered patio, that's still low light.
Yeah.
Because most people know that, south is very bright and north is maybe not as long exposure to sunlight. So really honing in on that plant's view of the sky helps people to determine bright light, medium light, and low light a lot more effectively than just perception.
Right. So I know what your favorite plant is not. What is your favorite plant?
My favorite plant family would have to be orchids, for sure. They're endlessly fascinating, and there's just so many to learn about, and they grow and adapt in so many different ways. So that's my favorite plant family. Usually people ask me what my favorite, like, personal plant is, which
Mm-hmm.
are our Monstera deliciosa. It's basic. I know it's basic. There's nothing special about it, except I got it when it was really small. And I had a vision for it to just be one vine that's almost like a tree. And I've been shaping it and training it for several years. And I have finally kind of reached like that picture that I've always had in my mind. So that's what I'm most proud of. That's my favorite plant in our personal collection, just because of all the work that it's taken to get there.
What's your recommendation for people who would want to do that same sort of thing?
To train a Monstera that way?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a lot of hacking. It's a lot of hacking. It's a lot of patience. I mean, it's every year I decide, okay, I'm going to remove these 2 or 3 leaves, or these couple of vines, because you can't take away too much energy at once.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fine balance to maintain. And so, this year I took off, these 2 leaves, and the plant put out 2 more leaves. It's tall. It's like almost 7 feet tall. So, I mean, you're only getting 1 or 2 new leaves, maybe 3 at most a year.
Wow.
At that point, it's, you're not popping out a ton of plants. It's one,
Yeah.
it goes up and it's massive, so I would recommend a lot of chopping and just letting it, just patience, and of course you have to have it on the on the moss pole. It's not strong enough to
Mhm.
it'll break otherwise.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That I want to try it now, even though it sounds really hard and like a lot of patience. I want to go home
I
and try
also
that.
don't have a like an actual moss pole. It's actually just a cedar fence picket. I'm holding
Okay.
out. My ultimate goal. This would like complete the vision. Is if I could find a piece of driftwood big enough to house the thing, because it is sort of in an organic shape, and I don't like this standard stick straight up and down. Like, I'm not really that fond of those kind of moss poles. I want
Yeah.
something more organic and kind of flowy. So as soon as I find a big chunk of driftwood, I might have to take a road trip. I don't know what it's going to take, but got to find that, and then it will be complete.
How did you get into plants in the first place?
I grew up with a lot of plants. My grandma, my great grandma, my dad has a lot of plants, had a lot of plants. We've always had a lot around us, a lot of house plants, big gardens. Everywhere around me is, where I grew up, a bunch of trees, farmland. So I'm very familiar with that's always been around me as growing up. I moved to Texas about 11 years ago, and if you've ever been to Texas, at least
No.
North Texas, most of Texas is extremely flat. So
Okay.
going from a place that's very mountainous, you always have plants around you, you always have green around you, to going to just flat, and if you ask me, kind of ugly of
Yeah.
Texas. Um, it affects you. Like, we would escape. We would go camping and rock climbing in like Arkansas to go and get like the mountain fix and like the greenery and all the plants and stuff. But then we just decided, I'm the decorator in the house, and so I was just reading, and it said, if you have an awkward space, maybe try a plant there. And I always tell people we have a lot of awkward spaces because there's like 150 plants in here now. So that's kind of how it started. I just brought in, I was missing the greenery and the plants and that feel, and
Yeah.
so I started bringing some of the plants in that I remember my grandparents caring for and my dad had, and then it just kind of snowballed from there.
So, what is I know you do so much on social media. So, what's your favorite platform to connect with the plant community?
Instagram, probably. It's not it's not our largest following by any means. That's probably actually our smallest, but it's so vast. And honestly, because TikTok is so big for us, I try not to get on plant TikTok because
Yeah.
too much. Like, I have to have something different, throughout my day. So
Yeah.
my TikTok has very little plants, if any at all, on it. So Instagram is kind of where I come for, like, for a lot of the plant stuff. I love the creativity that's on Instagram still. And although I may not be connecting as far as making content, a lot of content on Instagram, or talking to a lot of people on Instagram, I'm consuming a lot.
Yeah.
uh,
That's my favorite too.
I consume a lot of things that I don't practice, like bonsai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about the different things that you do on social media. So I know you're doing something every Wednesday at 6:30, Facebook Lives, you do free educational classes. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So when we very first started, I was talking about Tanner the Planter, and that was like our online business. We would do one of the things we did for our online customers was to just do a live plant every once a week. We would do it. And that's basically my wife and I, we get on Facebook Live on Tanner the Planter, and we choose like 30 of our favorite plants, and we just talk about them and give people the opportunity to buy them if they like. And so when we opened the store, we didn't really feel like we could get rid of that, because that was, these people buying these plants on this sale was the reason we could open up a brick and mortar store in the first
Right.
place. So we couldn't just leave them high and dry. So we still do that weekly sale. We do it bi-weekly now, because it was kind of getting to be too much. It's actually a big production.
Yeah, I bet.
um, and so, but to supplement that, so one week we will do the live houseplant sale, and then the following Wednesday we do a free educational class. And so it's sale, education, sale, education. So we just stagger them like that.
So what are the different topics that you cover in the educational class? Is it for newbies? Is it for more advanced? Is it for everybody?
It's for everybody, and we try to keep it somewhat seasonal. Like in the springtime, we'll have another repotting class. That's a big time for repotting. So we go into all that and answer a bunch of questions. Each class is about an hour long, give or take, depending on how many questions there are. But we cover everything. Of course, we try to cover a lot of things that are most popular topics, like how do I water properly? How do I get rid of fungus gnats? How do I determine light? How to separate and propagate and all the things. So it's really for everybody. We don't really get to, I find that if I go too in depth, people kind of go to sleep. They just fix, and how do I keep my snake plant alive? And they're happy with that. And that's a really good foundation and the base for people to enjoy the hobby and not be killing the plants anymore, to really be able to benefit. So that's kind of what we like to do the education about. Just easy, popular stuff.
That's amazing. So what are the different platforms our listeners can find you on, and what are those handles?
Yeah, it would be Tanner the Planter on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
That's nice and easy. So Tanner the Planter, everybody go check out all the amazing things he's doing. Tune in for a class or two. Really awesome stuff. So thank you for joining us today. We are going to wind it down. We always end with a trivia or riddle question, though. So last week's trivia question, we'll see if you can guess it, Tanner.
Okay.
What kind of flowers live between your nose and your chin?
Between your nose and your chin, flowers, tulips.
Oh my God, you got it right away. Yes. Get it, tulips. Oh my God. This week's, I don't have the answer, so you can still guess. We won't know until next week what the correct answer is. What do you get when an apple and a Christmas tree have a baby?
Oh, man.
An apple and a Christmas tree.
Is it Johnny Appleseed?
I honestly have no idea. We will find out next week. Drop your best guesses in the comments section or the review. If you guess correctly, you'll get entered to win a prize. So tune in next week on Friday for that answer. Thank you again, Tanner. Can't wait to catch up with you on social media. And thank you for being with us. This podcast is brought to you by Soltech Solutions, Domasi Home, and Steel City Plant Company. Thanks, everybody.